unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Terence Crawford gets at Errol Spence Jr.'s longtime trainer, Derek James. It says he's a hater and he don't know nan. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We working. Sign up for ESPN Plus using my link. It does help the channel when you guys click on that link and utilize my link. It is fight week. Adesanya versus Yoel Romero, UFC 248. Purchase the UFC 248. Should be a great card, great main event. I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely getting it. If you'd like to get it and support the channel, click on that link. Also, you can get ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, and Hulu, all three apps. One monthly fee of $12.99. I personally have all three and I utilize them. And they just put Black Panther on Disney Plus as well, like the movie, in case you guys want to watch it or if you haven't seen it. So let's get it. Terence Crawford, he went to his verified social media account and this is what he had to say. I'm starting to notice Derek James is a hater and he don't know shit. All he do is keep people in protected custody. I think he's trying to say protective custody, but he gets at Errol Spence's trainer. You guys see it. He said, I'm starting to notice Derek James is a hater and don't know shit. So he's, basically accusing of trainer Derek James of, keeping Errol Spence protected, preventing the fight, creating a roadblock. Now, I don't know for a fact because he didn't elaborate, it wasn't attached as a reply to anything. So I don't know exactly where this is coming from, but I have a good idea and I want to give you guys the backstory in case you were wondering. Derek James was in the house for Mikey Garcia's fight. Errol Spence was in the house at Mikey Garcia, Jesse Vargas that just happened. It was in Frisco at the Star in Dallas, and that's where they're based out of. So I did see an interview with Derek James, and he says the fight with Crawford is dumb right now. He said it's dumb and it's asinine. And his reason being was the Crawford fight versus Errol don't really make no money. Like, he says it's a fight that actually appeals to hardcore boxing fans, but it's not a fight that is above and beyond and transcend that. And transcends just the core boxing fans. That's what he's basically saying. So, Terence Crawford, I'm assuming, took offense to that, and he's saying he don't know shit. Now, the funny thing is with me, I don't pick sides and stuff. I love Crawford, what he's doing, and I love what Errol Spence is doing. Derek James has always been good to me as well. So and Bomac, they're all dope. They're all dope. It's a fun fight. As a boxing fan, I would love to see the fight, but I actually understand what Derek James is talking about, to be honest, and that's what I do on my channel. I give you guys that puro, that uncut, that raw. And what he's saying is it's not a mega fight. It's a fight that core boxing fans would love. It's a skilled fight. It's a fight where, who knows who would win. I don't even have a fight prediction. I just would damn near sit back and watch that as just a fan, just to see what would happen. It would be, very combustible. So action, drama, scintillating fight, yes. But in terms of right now, I don't think it is a blockbuster right now. And the reason being is, to be a blockbuster, you have to have a storyline. To be a blockbuster usually means two dance partners are both well known. Like, you have to understand this new age of boxing that we live in, especially, there aren't really many pay-per-view stars where, like Mayweather and Pacquiao, when they were coming up, and with the emergence of Fire Stick and streaming and, Instagram lives and Facebook lives and illegal streams and stuff, it's definitely hindered and hurt the market, because there's other ways to watch fights and stuff, or anything for that matter, get music, whatever the situation. So if you notice, when it comes to that, you're always going to have to fight that and battle that with the way social media and the internet and everything is set up. So a fight to really truly sell, sometimes it's just about notoriety and name recognition and profiles and pre-builds, and almost like the WWE theatrical stuff, on top of it being the fight people want to see. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's not just good enough to just be a good fight, because if that was the case, Beterbiev versus Vodstick, the whole world should have been checking for that, because that, I knew it was going to be a dope fight. I warned people it was going to be a dope fight. It was a dope fight, but the whole world wasn't watching it. I don't even know if it sold out in Philly. I don't know how big the venue was or anything, but I don't think it even sold out. So that's not how boxing is a niche sport. It really is. It's a secret society. All we ask is trust. It's a secret society, and you see the same boxing fans, like when it comes to, let's say, rappers, the same rappers like Gilly, LL Cool J, people like that, you see them talk about boxing. You randomly see other people, unless it's like they have a personal relationship with that particular fighter. So it's just I see the same people at the fights when I go to cover fights and stuff. It's a secret society. It's we're trying to get boxing bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. That's why you see fights where people say it's a circus and hated on it. But since Mayweather and Conor McGregor, I don't know what you're thinking, since they entertained and they had a great press tour and a press run and made headlines and quotables and hashtags and all these things, that fight did extremely well and was extremely lucrative. And that also stems from, independently, Conor McGregor is the biggest thing in the UFC. Independently, Floyd is the biggest thing in boxing. So even though Conor was foreign to boxing as, his only discipline, and fighting solely in a boxing discipline, he had a profile. Now you look at Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, and they're both building their brands, if anything. And I mentioned this a long time ago. The way the PBC track, Errol Spence has been on more of a fast track for like immediate stardom. You know what I mean? Like it's not even really debatable. I think ESPN, they didn't give Terence Crawford the red carpet treatment that they gave Tyson Fury. That's why Tyson Fury just made $25 million plus, plus back end fighting Wilder, and they're about to run it back again. Meanwhile, from what we hear, Crawford got, let's say, $3 million a fight, $4 million a fight. That's what his extension was. And his only pay-per-views have been abysmal numbers. The Victor Postal and then the Amir Khan numbers never truly came out, but they said it was around 150. Errol Spence has done better numbers than that with Mikey Garcia and Sean Porter, right? And they're saying he might get Pacquiao or Danny Garcia. So Errol Spence has definitely been, I feel PBC is doing what you should do. Have some really good fights, star build, the guys you really want to move and invest in, invest heavily in them. And then, they have to keep winning and do their part. Terence Crawford is a beast. He's an OG. Like, you know what I'm saying? I love the way he fights. But Top Rank, and I've told you this, they don't have the stable to make him in high profile fights like that. I heard a rumor that he may fight Josesito Lopez, which is an Al Heyman guy. And that's cool, but you have to look at it. Out of all the guys on PBC, they have such a vast stable. If Errol Spence were to fight Josesito Lopez, some people would even be like, why are he fighting him? But for Crawford, they have to realize, and they know, that he doesn't have such a vast stable to pick from. So he has to fight the Mean Machines, maybe John Molina, maybe Josesito Lopez, whoever he could get, because since he came up to welterweight, he already ran through everybody that was really on his side and had a working relationship with Top Rank. He beat Jeff Horn. He stopped him, stopped Jose Benavidez, stopped him in the 12th round. You know, I was at both of those fights. He stopped Amir Khan, made him quit, and then he stopped Mean Machine. So none of those fights are worthy of a sequel. So yet and still, you don't really have a storyline for Terence Crawford. The limited competition for that they have in the welterweight talent pool currently, they don't have like Pacquiao's anymore and Juan Manuel Marquez and like these big names that he could fight, or Tim Bradley or something. It's just the reality of him. So, you know, Mike Alvarado when he was doing good, Brandon Rios, they don't have those names. So Crawford he just has to fight whoever they can come up with, you know, Besputin and stuff like that, or an unnecessary rematch like Mean Machine or Jose Benavidez. Those aren't star building fights. So I think that's kind of what Derek James is saying. Is like, we can build Errol Spence and put him in with Pacquiao or Danny Garcia. These guys have ready-made big brands, and they're good fights. Pacquiao's a super champion now, you know, WBA super champion. So why would we fight Terence Crawford straight away when these fights are easier to facilitate? And the Terence Crawford fight isn't at its peak. And I agree with him. And I've said this. Crawford, if someone said Crawford and Errol Spence were going to fight, I would be like, great. But we know boxing is not that simple, because if that was the case, then Canelo should have been fought Demetrius Andrade or Charlo, or Triple G should have fought Demetrius Andrade or Charlo. But we know the politics and we know the business side, and you know what fighters won and protecting fighters and franchise champion, all this stuff comes into play. So we can't not bear witness to what we know to be the case for boxing politics when it comes to Terence Crawford and Errol Spence. Again, it's a great fight. It truly is. But in terms of a blockbuster fight, is it there? I don't think so. You know? Because Errol Spence has more he could do on his side, which is what him and his team are trying to do. Like, imagine Crawford, if he keeps doing well and he fights a bigger name, and then Errol Spence beats Pacquiao and stops him. Bro, then the Crawford fight would be big. You see what I'm saying? Like, let's say Terence Crawford fought Sean Porter and beat him, and then Errol Spence knocked out Pacquiao. Now the fight's big, because it's like, this is the last, you know, this is the last of the last, you know? But right now, if he goes into it, Crawford has fought, again, Amir Khan, Mean Machine, and Jose Benavidez, and Jeff Horn at welterweight. So it's not at its absolute Dante's peak, you know, Mount Everest peak. It really is not. So I understand that Terence Crawford is hasty because he wants to just scrap. He don't care about that. He's a fighter. So he just wants the belt. He wants the chance. He feels he could beat Errol Spence. But again, you can't overlook the business, because the business is what got in the way. And I'm never going to forget this, that when Top Rank had Manny Pacquiao and they had Terence Crawford, and HBO wanted to fight, and Max Kellerman was asking Terence Crawford, would you fight Pacquiao? And nothing ever happened. So the business got in the way then. So now when someone's on a different side of the street and all that, now, you know, you can't be so demanding when there was an in-house fight and your team didn't demand that, you know. Bob Arum and Top Rank, they didn't demand Pacquiao fight Terence Crawford. They're talking about Bob Arum recently did an interview, which I don't believe, and he said that Crawford may fight Pacquiao this summer or something. I mean, how's he going to fight Pacquiao when Pacquiao's with PBC and, you know, just did this deal with the UFC guy, Audi? You know what I mean? Because if it's that easy to facilitate, then why couldn't you facilitate it when it was an in-house fight? Now that you don't have Pacquiao, the fight you really want me to believe is going to happen next for Terence Crawford, when it was easier to make the fight, you didn't make the fight. You know, so that's kind of what I think Derek James is getting at. You know, the Crawford Spence fight from a competition point of view is good, and from a diehard boxing fan, it is good. But you have to realize, with true core boxing fans, there's probably less than 1 million, probably less than 500,000 core boxing fans that watch everything all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like Danny Garcia, Ivan Redcash. Some people don't watch stuff like that. They'll watch Wilder Fury 3, Wilder Fury 2. They'll watch Errol Spence Pacquiao. They'll watch Floyd Mayweather and Conor. They'll watch Canelo fights or something like that. So you have to understand and take that into consideration. So I actually agreed with what Derek James was saying, just based on the fact of, I'm not talking about, is it a good fight or a skilled fight, or is it a fight boxing fans would like? We know boxing fans, we love any good fight. But in terms of the grandiose luring in casuals, because that's how you get the numbers. That's how you get the numbers. Like, look at the best rappers, like let's say Tupac. Tupac is obviously, there's only so many black people in this world, and there's only so many black people that have money to buy CDs, that are willing to buy CDs. And then you have to look at the black people that even listen to this music or like Tupac particularly, so that number keeps going smaller and smaller. So if Tupac was going multi-platinum on albums, then that means something. That means he's transcending just the black community. More people in this world are buying Tupac albums outside of just black people, because there's only a handful of black people that, again, match all the criteria. Listen to rap, like Tupac, have the money to go purchase the album and want to buy the album and choose to buy the album. You know what I'm saying? So that means you're connecting and identifying and transcending just your immediate ethnicity or nationality. You know what I mean? Mexican people, white people, different people around the world are buying your album. That's what that represents, and that's same for any person that's going platinum, because there's only so many people in the world, and then you break down every demographic. So you use that same type of mindset or formula. There's only a certain amount of diehard, I watch Mikey Garcia, Jesse Vargas, and everything in between type of person that watches boxing on a reoccurring basis. So the hardcore fans alone will not ever account for the Floyd Mayweather type of sales that he was getting. You see what I'm saying? He's touching more than just the routine boxing. Here's a perfect way to put it. I've had a channel for a long time. This is the best way to put it, and then I'm out. Every time after a major big fight, I see screen names and usernames, and from doing this on a daily basis, we never see any of these names. But then when Floyd knocks out Conor McGregor, it's a bunch of people saying woot, 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 woot. When Floyd Mayweather is having a weigh-in or a face-off with Conor McGregor, is woot, 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 wompty. And we have never seen these people before. These aren't the usual suspects. These aren't regulars. So it goes to show you there's an influx when it comes to major fights, because you're attracting more than just your core die-hard boxing fans. And I think that's what Derek James was saying in so many words. Like, it's just like a restaurant and bar. If there's a restaurant and bar and, there's regular patrons that come in every Friday, but if they had a particular convention, let's say at the Staples Center, maybe that restaurant and bar has a lot more customers because they had a big Comic-Con and a big convention and Apple unveiling when they had a lot of these like corporations that were there in LA for meetings. So of course your business is going to spike during those periods because you have a lot of people in town. And that it's the same formula for boxing. Crawford versus Spence is a hardcore boxing fan's dream, wet dream, but beyond that, you have to capitalize and to get true numbers, you have to transcend just hardcore daily boxing users and accounts. Like you look at Wilder Fury, and they said it did 850 to 1.2 million. So based on where it's at right now, if Crawford were to fight Errol Spence, do you believe that that fight would easily surpass that in today's market? Because Wilder and Fury had a controversial first fight. Wilder and Fury went on Joe Rogan and an amazing press run, 2 times. And they had Super Bowl placements and NFL playoff placements and commercials and stuff just to hit that number, 850 to 1.2 million when it was said and done. So I can understand fans want to see a fight with Crawford and Spence, but it really is not as big as you think it would be, because Crawford, he last fought Mean Machine. Some people might not have been versed with that fight. They didn't know who Mean Machine was. Spence, he's in a different situation because I think he was in Google Trends and stuff. He trended for the car accident, and then obviously the unification with Sean Porter and the Mikey Garcia. Those are all bigger events. So that's where this fight is at, and it's the politics. I don't think Errol's scared. I don't think Crawford's scared. It's the politics and it's the business. So why would PBC, and I've predicted this, why would they say, hey, Errol, fight a top ranked guy and let's deal with them when we could put you in with Danny Garcia or Pacquiao, keep it in-house, and these are bigger fights and bigger brands, and like I said, Crawford doesn't have these options. None of his welterweight fights, they're all stoppages. None of them are worthy of a rematch. Errol Spence, on the other hand, he can rematch Sean Porter, right? He can do that. I mean, even Mikey Garcia, if Mikey Garcia, let's say, beat Pacquiao, he beat Jesse Vargas, said he wants to fight Pacquiao or rematch Spence. So if he beats someone like Pacquiao, then you could definitely do the Mikey Garcia Spence, because that would, a Jesse Vargas and a Pacquiao win for Mikey, that puts him right back in and shows that he's someone to consider. And then other guys like Danny Garcia, or Pacquiao for Spence, these are just all bigger fights. It just is what it is. We unpack.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.